Welcome back to the last of the positional tier ranking videos here on the channel. Today we are going to be ranking the projected starting centers for the NBA season. Over on the left here we have tiers that I have made: superstar, star, above average starter, below average starter, and role player. And you'll see that this player here is put into the below average starter category because I've looked through the list and for whatever reason I cannot remember who this player is, so I'm just going to put them in the below average starter category, as we also do with all rookies until we have further time to evaluate them. So that being said, if you guys do enjoy it, feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel. And let's jump right into it. Al Horford, someone who didn't fit the system in Philadelphia very well last season, had to play the power forward position a little bit because of that. And obviously is on a bad contract, but that isn't influencing where we rank them as a player. And so I think for the time being, I will be putting him as an average starter. Still fits really well in most teams, can offer some good rebounding, good defense, good mentorship. Can space the floor a little bit, so for me, he's going to be an average starter. Andre Drummond, I feel like he's an above average starter to me. Not a high-end above average starter because he doesn't offer enough to you offensively outside of pick and rolls and offensive rebounding putbacks, but he's so dominant on defense and specifically at rebounding that I feel like he has to be an above average starter. You could argue he's an average starter, but I think I'll put him in the above average starter category. Aron Baynes, average starter. Has learned how to space the floor now later on in his career, which is crucial for him now. He can start hitting some three-point shots. He offers you a lot of energy, good defense, good rebounding, and the combination of him and Chris Boucher for the Toronto Raptors has been very good for them this season. Bam Adebayo, right? Yeah, Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo is a start for me. He's definitely not a superstar yet. He's not at that level yet with me, of Jokic, of Embiid, but he is very good. He had a breakout season last season, obviously, and his versatility defensively to defend virtually every position is elite. And he can hit the mid-range. He's good in the post. He's good in the pick and roll. He's a very good first-style player. Brook Lopez, above average starter. Very good at spacing, hitting threes. Very good rim protector as well. I believe averaged over 2 blocks a game last season. So he goes in that category for me. Christian Wood, for now, is going to be an average starter. He definitely could rise up that list this season, but I just haven't seen enough from him yet. He hasn't proven enough to me, but I feel like he has proven enough to be an average starter, but has a lot of upside on the offensive end, and Houston could have a steal in him. Clint Capella, I feel like I have to put him in the average starter category. I haven't seen enough of him on the court, or enough of him healthy as of late to put him any higher, but obviously he's very good in the pick and rolls, good on lobs and putbacks and whatnot, which is going to be very good in Atlanta with Trae Young, and that could be a fun duo to watch. So I think he goes in that average starter category for me. Cody Zeller for me is a role player, someone who shouldn't be a starter. He's just not good enough in my opinion. Offers a little bit of rebounding, a little bit of defending, but he isn't that great to me. Daniel Theis is a below average starter to me. Good rebounding, good defending, a little bit undersized, not great. But I mean, there's a reason Boston have a liability at center, right? So he's definitely a below average starter. DeAndre Ayton, I don't feel like I can put him at the star category yet. He hasn't shown enough for me yet. Maybe in combination with Chris Paul this season, he can get there, but he's still an above average starter for me. Marvin Bagley, or is that Richaun Holmes? That's Richaun Holmes. Right, that's Richaun Holmes. Richaun Holmes is a below average starter for me. I know he had a good season last season. I don't completely buy into it. I feel like he's just going to be a below average starter who offers some good rebounding, a little bit more on the offensive end, but I don't believe he will put up the offensive numbers that he did last season. Jakob Poeltl. You could argue Jakob Poeltl is a role player, but I think his rebounding is good enough and his length defensively is good enough to make him a below average starter, but you could make an argument for him being a role player. James Wiseman, I think he'll be higher than a below average starter at the end of the season and has already looked very good on the offensive end at scoring the ball. But for now, for me, and he's a rookie, we will put all rookies in the below average starter category. Jared Allen, he is going to be off the bench. It looks like DeAndre Jordan is going to be starting, but it looks like those two are going to be playing very similar minutes to always have a fresh, energetic, good defensively, good rebounding center. And for me, he is an average starter with very good length, good rim protection, good rebounding. He's a very good center and someone who could get a nice bit of money in one of the upcoming off seasons. Joel Embiid is a superstar, no question about it. One of the best centers in the league when healthy. Nothing more needs to be said. Jonas Valanciunas, above average starter to me. He's a lock to be getting a double-double pretty much every night. And someone who can put up 14, 15, 16 points a game, has extended his range a little bit to give you a little bit of spacing and gives you a good defending, some good post moves. He is definitely an above average starter for me. Next up, Jusuf Nurkic, same thing, above average starter. He sometimes get a little bit overlooked and doesn't necessarily get looked as the third piece in Portland behind Dame and CJ, and it's just Dame and CJ who get looked at. But he's someone who can score on the offensive end. Is quite versatile, can offer some good paint defense. Has very good vision and very good passing for a center as well. So he's definitely in that above average category for me. Karl-Anthony Towns is a star. He's not good enough defensively for me to be a superstar, but he is elite as it gets at the offensive end for a center. And similarly, Nikola Jokic, however, he is a superstar, but he's just another level above on the offensive end. He has that playmaking ability that Karl-Anthony Towns just does not have. And as someone who can be a triple-double machine, and this is another level on the offensive end with that playmaking ability and passing ability at the center position, and that's what really separates him. Kristaps Porzingis is a star. It's very possible that he can become a superstar if he can remain healthy. With that being said, we haven't seen that up to date. However, he has been very good when healthy. Marc Gasol for me is a below average starter. He's kind of fallen off a little bit the last couple seasons. His playmaking ability hasn't been as noticeable. His ability to score the ball hasn't been as good. And his defense hasn't been as good, although it's still quite good. But he's not as good in the pick and roll as his mobility decreases. So that's how I feel about him. I feel like Mason Plumlee has to be a below average starter, but he definitely could make his way up into the average starter category as the season moves along. Depending on how he plays now that he's in a starting role with Detroit compared to where he was back up in Denver. And I've accidentally put Miles Turner in this category. Miles Turner is definitely an above average starter to me. Elite rim protection. He had 8 blocks on opening night this season. Someone who can space the floor, get a lot of rebounds for you, provides a lot of energy, and he is someone that is definitely a very good center for whichever team he's on. And then Nikola Vucevic is also an above average starter for me. Not great defensively, he can be a little bit liable in the pick and roll, but is a very good scorer and was an all-star a few years ago, so he definitely deserves to be in that above average category. See, you would think Rudy Gobert is a star. He's often an all-star, defensive player of the year, but I have to put him in the above average starter category. And he just got a max contract, but I just don't think he's deserving of that. I don't think he is at that level quite. I think he's 18, 20 million a year guy. But he just doesn't offer enough for me offensively to be considered a star. He's not at the level of Bam Adebayo, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Kristaps Porzingis, for me at least. He's like Nikola Vucevic is very good offensively. Miles Turner is quite good defensively, and then not enough offensively to be considered a star. Like, this category is like you're really good in certain areas, but then not like really good in other areas, and you're pretty much really good in all areas to be up here, or one of the best in the league in one of those areas to be up in the star category. And that's not Rudy Gobert to me. That's just not. He's not good enough on offense for his defense to be worth being a star for me. But you could definitely make that argument, and I could definitely listen to an argument for him to be in the star category. Serge Ibaka, above average starter. Good length, good rim protection, very good spacing, just creates a lot of good offense, can get a lot of buckets for you, and that is nothing more than you can ask for. Steven Adams is still an above average center for me as well. Very good leader, good rim protector, good rebounder, and can get involved in the pick and roll and a little bit in the post. Thomas Bryant for me is still a below average starter. He has shown some promise offensively. Can get some 3-point shots, can get involved a little bit in some other areas, but his defense needs to improve for him to be any higher. And about the opposite can be said about Wendell Carter Jr. for me. I think his defenses look decent and his rim protections look good. He usually averages nearly a couple blocks, but his offense still has a lot to improve on for me. But hopefully he can continue to improve. And so that is my thoughts on the projected starting centers in the NBA this upcoming season. Feel free to let me know down below whether you guys agree or disagree on certain players. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.